On St Patrick's Day 2024, the body of Kelly Lynch was found here in the Ulster Canal near Monaghan town. She was 23 years old. There are many questions that remain unanswered or contested. How did she get in the canal? How did she die? And was anybody else involved?
She was just such a good girl, so gentle, so good-hearted. She had a wicked sense of humour, a very dark sense of humour, and she was literally unlike anyone else.
Kelly Lynch lived in Guildford, County Armagh, with her mother Julianne, father Sean, sister and 4 brothers.
She was into her alternative style. It took her a long time to come around to finding out the kind of person she was. I love seeing that she wasn't trying to be a carbon copy of everything else that she would have seen on social media. I miss the conversations we would have. I miss us being in the car, just the most simple, mundane things. The last video we had together was going into Portadown on the 8th of February, and we were listening to a song and she was recording me singing and dancing, and then she brought the camera around on herself, and you can see the life in her, you can see that spark in her eyes.
In March 2024, Kelly had travelled to Monaghan to stay with her boyfriend. On the Friday night, they were out in the town in a group. Julianne spoke to her daughter on Friday evening and later had a missed call on her phone. She heard nothing after that until Sunday.
The phone call came in just after 1 p.m. And I always remember asking, is Kelly okay? I was just imagining she had been drunk and disorderly and maybe in a cell or whatever. That was wishful thinking. And then when he told me, I'm sorry to tell you this over the phone, but your daughter, Kelly Marie Lynch, is deceased. And I just felt like all the air in my lungs had been sucked out of me. The denial, that instant denial, you're wrong. The guards had a working theory that she had possibly fallen from the bridge. At this point, we didn't know the level of injuries Kelly had. And obviously we had to accept the narrative they were telling us, but it just didn't seem right, when we started asking questions. And I fought for the autopsy report, which I finally got in August. There was just something not quite right about the manner of Kelly's death.
Julianne and Sean felt that they weren't getting the answers they needed and sought help elsewhere. They saw a news report about a retired PSNI detective who'd set up a charity helping families who had concerns about the death of a loved one in circumstances with unanswered questions. They contacted him immediately.
I was a detective sergeant in the police service in Northern Ireland. I joined the police in 2005 and went into the homicide unit back in 2008. So been working with homicides for the last almost 20 years.
James Brannigan set up the Katie Trust after being involved in the investigation into the death of show jumper Katie Simpson, initially considered a suicide, but later became a murder charge.
The day I set up the Katie Trust on the 18th of July, a reporter from UTV contacted me and said, would I talk to Julianne and Sean? And it was that weekend, I think within 24 hours, I was sitting in their living room talking to them. And what I try to do on that first meeting is to try bring it down to the critical questions here. As I say to Julianne, Sean, there's a lot of noise, things that are annoying them and where families are traumatised. There's so many different questions, but bring it down to the important questions of how did your loved one die? What happened around that time? And focus in on that.
On the night Kelly died, we know that she was on a night out with a group of friends in Monaghan town. She had been drinking heavily. The group left the town and were walking home. At one point, Kelly became separated from the group. The last confirmed sighting of her was on CCTV outside the National School, just a few hundred metres from the bridge.
We know that she had been drinking. You don't think it's possible, though, that she could have slipped and fell over?
Listen, anything's possible, but you have to look at this yourself and logically, can you swing your body over this. If somebody's walking on the wall, if somebody's sitting on the wall, it may fall back. I agree with all that, but then we have to look at the injuries on Kelly. It's a serious drop, and somebody falling that distance, you'd expect, I would assume, catastrophic injuries. Falling from that bridge, I don't believe is what happened because of the lack of severe injuries on her body.
How crucial do you think the fact that the pathologist didn't visit the scene is?
I think it's an error, one, not to come to the scene or actually raise questions about the scene, because the primary question you have to ask, how did she get into the water? Why could she not get out? And some of these trees, rocks could explain something, but we don't know because the pathologist never came out here.
State pathologists don't visit a scene unless asked to do so by the Gardaí. Kelly's death wasn't treated as suspicious, and the Garda Technical Bureau did not attend the scene either. James had enough questions to bring in a professional who was willing to work pro bono to examine the circumstances of Kelly's death.
Currently, I'm a forensic pathologist based in north central Florida. I'm from Athlone in Westmeath, Ireland. Personally, I've done put my own hands in around 8,000 to 8,500 autopsies. As a trainer in one of the biggest training institutes in the United States, over 10 years, it's another 8,500 cases that I would directly have been involved in as a supervisor, and not to mention the thousands of other cases that you are regularly asked to consult over different parts of the world, different parts of the country.
Dr. Garavan was engaged by the Katie Trust to examine the findings of Kelly's autopsy report and produce his own desktop review. It differed greatly from the report from the state pathologist, which had concluded that Kelly had died from drowning after falling into the canal.
A few things stood out. There's an extraordinary number of injuries present on the body. The waterway that she's found in is not deep. My understanding is it's approximately a half a foot to 1 foot of water. The fall is being offered as a rationale for all of the injuries. And this becomes complicated in my mind because the injuries are to the back of the head, entire right side of the face, the sternum, the T10 vertebrae on the mid-back, and hemorrhaging around the right eye. So it's a very interesting fall because you've fallen on your front, on your back, on your top, and towards your bottom. But this is a straight drop of approximately 18 to 20 metres.
At the heart of this story are 3 reports into Kelly Lynch's death, each written by a different pathologist and each arriving at a different conclusion. The initial post-mortem report by the State Pathologist Office concluded that Kelly had drowned after falling from a height into the canal. A review by a second state pathologist disagreed and said it was most likely from hypothermia. Dr. Fintan Garavan's desktop review concluded that it was neither of these things and that Kelly had most likely died following a violent assault. How usual or otherwise is it for 3 professionals to look at the same evidence and arrive at different conclusions, as has happened in this case?
Not terribly unusual. It happens in trial all the time. I've really got to stress this. This is not a personal bun fight. This is about getting to the truth. It is good that professionals disagree, because by disagreeing, we don't become yes men or yes women, right? We question each other, we challenge each other, and that is progress, that's professionalism.
The State Pathologist Office responded to Dr. Garavan's review with a supplementary report. The report rejects Dr. Garavan's suggestion of violent assault and reasserts the initial finding that Kelly drowned after falling into the canal. Kelly's body was found with 93 separate injuries, ranging from small marks to a broken vertebrae and fractured sternum. Dr. Garavan believes these injuries are indicative of a third-party involvement. Marks on Kelly's hands and arms, identified by Dr. Garavan as defensive wounds, are explained by the state pathologists as being caused by Kelly trying to crawl out of the canal. Smaller marks that Fintan Garavan believes were inflicted in an assault are ascribed to insect activity as she lay in the canal. The supplementary report also states that Kelly's broken vertebrae and sternum or breastbone are consistent with a fall from height, saying that her breastbone was likely fractured by her chin, forcibly impacting her chest in the fall. Dr. Garavan believes that these 2 significant injuries were caused after Kelly had died, stating that the fractured sternum was indicative of an attempt at CPR.
But they did say that it wouldn't be all that usual for a sternum fracture in a person as young as Kelly after CPR was performed. More likely you'd see it in an older person.
Yeah, I would disagree with that. Every case is unique. If you're going to say to me the sternal fractures come from a 20-metre fall, she most definitely would have a lot of rib fractures. She doesn't. You don't hit the ground at 70 kilometres an hour and get a minor injury on one side, but then turns out to be 4 different sides. There's something not right there.
But how confident would you be that your hypothesis is the correct one and that theirs is incorrect?
I don't believe Kelly drowned, and I don't believe Kelly died from hypothermia. So my concern is that Kelly was the victim of an assault, because it looks to me like somebody may have tried CPR on her. So that would suggest that in that case, death was probably not intended. But once they failed to revive Kelly, that Kelly was then moved to the final location. There is evidence, in my opinion, to suggest she may have been dropped in that transportation, causing further injuries, and then placed in the location that she's in. That would, to me, would make more sense for what I'm looking at than trying to believe that she fell or jumped 20 metres and then crawled with her broken back, causing injuries to the backs of her hands and not the front, and then finally drowning face upwards out of water, in water that's only 1 foot deep.
Kelly's death is not being treated as suspicious. An Garda Síochána is currently conducting an internal review into its own initial investigation into Kelly's death. In a statement to Primetime, An Garda Síochána said that this review by a senior investigating officer was ordered after then Commissioner Drew Harris and Chief Superintendent Alan McGovern met with the Lynch family and listened carefully to their concerns. It said that it is also supporting the coroner's inquest and fully cooperating with the Fitzroy or Ombudsman investigation. It appealed to anyone with information to contact Gardaí. The Department of Justice told Primetime that the Office of the State Pathologist can't comment on any individual case while coronial and Garda investigations are ongoing. It also said that it operated in line with international best practice guidelines and has a 100% peer review policy.
In fairness to the Gardaí in Monaghan, if the diagnosis was to change, they would have no problem launching a homicide investigation. But they have to go on the medical evidence. They have done a lot of work down there in relation to where Kelly was and what was happening. All Gardaí are the same. They cannot go launch a homicide investigation if the pathologist is saying it's not homicide.
For the Lynch family, the heartbreak of Kelly's death is only compounded by the questions that remain unanswered and the lack of any sort of closure on the death of their daughter and sister.
We have changed. The dynamics have completely changed. I don't feel joy in anything anymore. I don't enjoy food. I don't enjoy leaving the house. I don't do anything anymore. I feel like I'm just kind of floating through life for the sake of being here, because I am willing to accept that Kelly's death is an accident if it's proved, because if they're going to say she died by all those injuries were accidental, you need to back that up.